Hey, all you kitchen witches. You want to make something to bless and protect your kitchen? How about this nice, protective, spicy apple wreath? Come on over to my magical kitchen and I'll show you how to make one. Oh, hi there. Thanks for dropping by. I'm in the middle of creating a magical dried apple wreath that's going to be very protective for my home. It makes a really attractive decoration and it will ward your home after you charge it, and it'll be one of those kind of things that you can have up that is just kind of inconspicuous and pretty, but it's doing its magical job. So I've been sitting here cutting up some apples and soaking them in a solution of 1 cup of lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of sea salt. And the sea salt is extremely magical, so I recommend sea salt. And so I've had some slices soaking here. I think I've used probably a total of about 4 apples. My wreath is going to be about 9 inches. And I'm going to be creating it, I'll show you later, on a wooden embroidery hoop. But depending on how big your wreath is going to be, you choose the correct number of apples. So what I've done is, here's the bottom of my apple, and I have been slicing it crosswise. Normally, most people, I think, when they cut an apple, they'll cut it this way, but you're going to cut it around the middle, like the equator of the apple. And oftentimes you'll see an image where the seeds were of a star, and that star forms your pentagram of protection. And of course, apples are just extremely magical in themselves. And you can put some protective spices on to add a little bit extra enchantment to your wreath. So you're gonna, once you've sliced your apples, you're gonna soak them. I'm using a pie plate because it's a broader surface and it allows you to put more apples in there at a time. So I've got my solution of lemon juice and salt, and I've been soaking them for about 5 minutes. And then I'm putting them in my food dryer. It's an electrical thing that has racks in it, so you can stack your sliced up produce and you dry it in there. It's a really great thing. But if you don't have one of these, you can certainly use your oven to do the job. And I recommend getting some kind of a metal rack, maybe one for cooling cookies after you bake them, and putting your apples in there. You want to allow enough space around each apple so there's plenty of room for the air to circulate. And you want to put your oven on the lowest temperature possible. And you'll probably have to leave your apples in the oven for several hours. Okay, just you want them to be kind of rubbery and dried out, and they'll look like dried fruit. Okay, so I'm going to continue to slice my apples and put them in my food dehydrator, and I'll see you later to show you how to assemble your magical wreath. Well, it looks like I've already finished my project, but I haven't really. I like to lay things out and decide on my placement, and I have all my supplies ready now to assemble my apple wreath. But as you can see, nothing's glued down. So I'm going to take it all apart and proceed from there and show you how to put this together. I wanted to point out a few things about the embroidery hoop that you're using to glue the apple slices to. It's made out of wood, and there are actually 2 parts to it, an inner hoop and an outer hoop. And the metal fixture at the top makes a great thing to tie your bow to, and I love to collect ribbons, by the way. You should have a stash of ribbons whenever you get a gift or something like that. Have a bag or a basket that you put those in. So I happened to find just the right ribbon that I saved from, I think from a gift that somebody gave me, or some ribbon that I had bought for wrapping things. and I tied a couple of cinnamon sticks in there, and I tied it around that metal fixture so you can see that it makes a good hanger to hang your wreath up. And I tied the ribbon around the metal fixture, the tightener, and then I loosened up that center of the bow, and I inserted a couple of cinnamon sticks because I thought that would add some extra cinnamony spiciness to the wreath. And so, you can glue everything in place with the hot glue gun after you're done gluing your apples to the hoop. And so there it is. It's all ready. I put the bow on first. I thought that would be easier to just slip those apples on either side of the bow. Okay, let me adjust this a little bit here so you can see better. I'm partially through, most of the way through. I wanted to mention too that I had rubbed these dried apples in some spices, and I actually left them overnight. When you sprinkle the spices on, you do have to rub the surface of the apple, and the dried apples will be kind of leathery. They're not going to be crispy or hard, and they may get harder over time, but they will basically be, pretty pliable right now while you're working with them. And so the spices that I used were cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, cloves, ginger, and mace. Mace is kind of a family tradition in my family. I love mace. And it's a spice. It actually is it comes from the nutmeg. It's outer coating of the nutmeg. And I just love that fragrance of mace. So I added that. But whatever spices you happen to have on hand are great. And cloves especially are very protective. Because if you look at a whole clove, it's kind of spiky, pointy, anything like that is going to be very protective. So I also wanted to point out that when you're hot gluing your apple in place, you want to make like a line here, not just a dot. Looks like I need a new glue stick in here. And so a line like that, so that there's more surface for it to cling to. And it's kind of nice to overlap the edges just a bit, like that. I didn't do that so much over here, but I think that looks kind of nice to overlap it. So I'm going to finish up here with my last apples. And I tried to, any apple slice that had a star, I tried to make the star facing up. They didn't all have stars. This has sort of the suggestion of a star. I do have two little slices left over, but okay, I think I'll just leave that. Then I'm gonna put a dot of glue here for the bow to hang into. And if you find something's falling out, you can always go back and hit it with some hot glue later to make your project a little more secure. Now that's just about done. The only thing left to do now is to enchant it. And a quick way to do that would just be to create a sacred space. And if you look on my channel, I show you how to cast a circle, create a sacred space. You can do that indoors. You don't have to have an outdoor space or a special ritual table set up or anything like that, but create your sacred space, and then you might say something like, I bless this apple wreath to protect my home. May all who enter shed their low vibrations, and may this wreath impart blessings to those people that enter my home. Something like that. And I'm going to hang it in the kitchen. I think this is a great kitchen witch project. So it's got all the stuff that you might have in your cupboard or pantry to make. And I hope you have a really good time making your apple wreath. Until next time, bright blessings.